Well, welcome everyone to this month's Thought Co-op, where we talk about big ideas surrounding economic growth, workforce development, and transportation. So as you may guess, today's topic falls under our transportation initiatives. And back in September of last year, and I'm going to share this screen with you here, the Chamber conducted our first commuter survey to better understand how our workforce gets to work. And one of the things we heard from a handful of people, we had about 120 people fill out this survey, but there was a handful of folks that said, I'm going to fill this out the way I currently get to work. But what they wanted to see was more walkability and biking options in our city. And so if you're interested in this survey, you can go to our website under resources, and this nice infographic is there for you to study more if you so choose. But with that in mind of looking at more walkability and bikeability, we are very pleased today to have with us John Vorberil, city planner for the city of Englewood. I'm sorry, senior city planner for the city of Englewood, to share with us today the city's walk and wheel plan. And so, John, I'll let you take it from there.
Good morning, everyone. This is John Vorberil with the city of Englewood, senior planner. I've been with the city about 20 years. I'm sorry, I must apologize that I don't have my picture screen up because we're having a little bit of a bandwidth issue. I'm doing this from home, and I decided that it was better to do it home than the office because then I'd be commuting here at rush hour from Westminster. So I'm doing this at home. So I'm going to begin sharing my screen with you. All right, well, let me start off with a little bit of history. I've always been an avid bicyclist for my entire life. And when I got to the city of Englewood, I noticed that there was kind of a moribund program of bicycling in the city of Englewood. There had been some trails built in the city and a few chief routes through this that went through the city to connect to Denver and Littleton, as well as east-west, and that was about it. And nothing had been done for quite a long time. So I reached out to someone in Public Works, and we developed a simple bicycle plan that identified routes in the city. And I was able to get that signed through a grant from the stimulus funds from the Great Recession. And soon after that, I realized, well, I need a new plan. And so I went out and I felt that this time we needed to get a more professional plan. So I found a grant from the Kaiser Permanente Foundation for $100,000. It's totally free, no match required. And so we were able to obtain that grant, and we developed our current walk and wheel master plan. That was approved by City Council in the fall of 2015, and it emphasized a series of quick win projects that were low-hanging fruit, so to say, things that we could do really quickly without a lot of expense, and maybe focused on streets and corridors that were kind of a challenge. Some of those streets included Dartmouth and Oxford Avenues. They're kind of well-traveled automobile routes, but they're also bicycle routes, and very key bicycle routes, especially getting to the Platte River. Typically, our projects, when we were doing the construction, they were funded out of discretionary departmental or grant dollars. And so it was kind of a slow process in the fact that you had to find some money to do something. If you had some extra money in your budget, that's great. Then you could do some design work, and then you'd go out and get a grant, and then you get it done. But however, we began to realize that there was a lot of more interest in this than we had originally thought, and council was really wanting to see more happen sooner, and I think that was coming from their constituency. And so recently, council moved to dedicate a capital improvements funding line item in the capital improvements budget that is solely for these smaller walk and wheel projects. So the city manager tasked us with, he needed to have some better cost estimates for these projects so that he could program those in a more efficient manner going forward. And so that was kind of the impetus of the walk and wheel update that we are doing now. So let's talk a little bit about the existing conditions that we have. We have done a lot of projects in the last 7 or 8 years. Some of these projects included the Broadway mid-block crossing, Clarkson Street Sharrows, Dartmouth Avenue shared bicycle and parking lanes, additional bike parking at Englewood Station, the Harvard Gulch Trail replacement, Little Dry Creek Trail crossing at the Platte River, the Mary Carter Greenway, a new stretch of that on the east bank of the river between Union and Oxford, Oxford Avenue bicycle lanes, additional parking at the Oxford Station, and recently a joint project with Denver with Sunai Street, some separated bicycle lanes, buffered bicycle lanes there. And then Windermere Street was an extension of the Littleton bicycle lanes up on Windermere Street, coming north from Bellevue to, I believe it's Layton Avenue. And so here are some of the examples of these projects that we have done. Here on the left, we have the Broadway mid-block crossing, and we're by no means is that totally done. I think we're still learning on that project, and I believe the DDA has secured another grant to make improvements there as well. In the center picture, we have a picture of the Oxford bicycle lanes that's looking east towards Broadway from around Acoma Street. And then to the right is the Dartmouth bicycle lane project there. What we've got cooking right now, we have some grant funding secured for West Dartmouth Avenue, Zunai Street to the South Platte River, that we will be soon seeing 100% design and construction drawings for that, and hopefully implementation by the end of this year, I believe. And also a similar grant funding source for West Floyd Avenue from Inca to Broadway. And then also the old Hampton Avenue corridor. This is a little bit more involved. We're looking at more of a real street rebuild for this portion from Acoma to Lafayette. And so that is in the hopper with Public Works. They have recently put out an RFP for that, and I think they have a design team on board to do 30% design drawings for that corridor. And then also finally, we have the rail trail pedestrian bridge over Oxford that has recently been designed and is scheduled to be constructed this year as well. So here are the project goals that we have for our walk and wheel plan update. We wanted to identify and summarize our successful projects to date, which I just went through with you. Those were our successful projects. We wanted to analyze, screen, and prioritize our standing projects that aren't done yet. And we wanted to engage the Englewood Transportation Advisory Committee, Planning and Zoning Commission, and others in the planning process, gather input from our citizenry, and the most important goal is to develop planning level cost estimates. and as well as prioritization for our remaining projects. And I just, with this asterisk at the bottom, the walk and wheel line item is for kind of smaller projects, and it does not include the rail trail bridges or trail segments that are already programmed as separate items in the capital improvements program. So our community outreach, we had our consultants attend the Englewood block party on September 18th. We've had joint meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Englewood Transportation Advisory Committee on September 21st and October 14th. We met with City Council on November 22nd to update them on our progress. And then we ran a web page survey that went out through social media outlets to Englewood citizens. And that survey ran from November 5th through 19th of 2021. And I believe that we got 341 responses to that survey. And so what did we hear from that survey? So this is the consultants' takeaways. The existing bicycle network does not feel comfortable for most of our residents. Bicycle facilities are not continuous, and there are barriers that result in high stress routes and hard circuitous routes that don't take you straight there, and you have to go kind of a roundabout way to get there. The existing network is confusing to navigate due to few wayfinding signs, and there's a strong desire for more dedicated bikeway facilities. And most people thought that the focus should be on improving bicycling and walking within our major activity centers. And then I went through all those comments personally too, and some of my takeaways were the following: that Dartmouth Avenue is much better today than it was, but citizens still feel that we need to keep moving toward more separated facilities in the future, including Dartmouth. They also said that share markings in lieu of separated lanes are they're not really excited about that. They feel those share markings aren't doing enough to keep them safe or slow down traffic. They also believe that the current condition of Little Dry Creek west of Acoma Street is not acceptable. And there is some apprehension regarding changes to streets in general. Those aren't really well defined, and so there is some concern about that from the public. And so we need that tells me that we need to plan well with our public and engage them, keep them in the loop about changes, and make them a real partner with us. And to the left here, this little map is kind of to show you the Little Dry Creek system and what people are talking about. And so at the lower right-hand corner, you see the green line coming up from crossing Broadway to the fountain area. And then it kind of just peters out there, and you're not sure where you're supposed to go. There's not really much in the way of wayfinding or markings to tell you. However, there is a preferred city way that you're supposed to travel this. You're supposed to come off the plaza and come along Hampton up along the sidewalk. There's kind of a wider path along here, cross over at Hampton Place. And it's kind of a back and forth pathway till you get over here to where you have a more defined path over here at Inca, and then on to the Mary Carter Greenway. And this has been something that I've been quite aware of for a long time, that people are not satisfied with this middle ground area that's this orange line. But it's not really an easy thing to solve either. And so, but it is noted in our survey that is something we need to spend some more resources on. All right, let's talk more about the walk and wheel update itself. All right, so the first thing the consultant did was to compile our list of outstanding projects from the 2015 Walking Wheel Master Plan, as well as a more recent 2019 South Platte Connection Study that was commissioned by Arapahoe County. What they were looking at was the South Platte River corridor from the Denver border all the way to county line, and looking at how connections could be improved, walking and wheeling to the South Platte River trail corridor. And then also input from the public through this survey. And in total, we've identified 53 projects. So the analysis began with level 1 screening, which looked at overall project cost and ease of implementation. Projects that were assigned high cost, high complexity status were set aside, and the remaining projects, which were the majority of them, were moved to the level 2 screening. In the level 2 screening, projects are divided into a status of tier 1 versus tier 2, with tier 1 projects considered to be highest priority. And the criteria that was used for that analysis I have included here. They looked at connectivity and cost and demand, and they gave it these different things subjective. They're subjective in some ways, ratings of 1 through 4. Sometimes it was 2 or 4 or 0 for no. And the expected result is on the right. Connectivity, this will prioritize interconnected designated networks, or this will prioritize corridors connected to the transit network. And so if the project did that well, it was given a 4. If it really didn't move the needle, it was given a 1. Cost, same, low was actually better, so that got a 4. Highest costs were 1. And demand is all projects have been identified via stakeholder input and community support. And will this prioritize city and neighborhood activity centers as well? And we rated those as well. And the other performance measures were ease of implementation, equity, does that improve accessibility to underserved areas, and safety and comfort, does it reduce vehicle pedestrian conflicts, vehicle and bicycle conflicts, and does it reduce level of traffic stress for bicyclists? So this is a kind of example of the facility types that we are looking at in Englewood. On the left, we have 2 pictures here that represent what are known as neighborhood bikeways. These are something that's been being developed in the city and county of Denver. They look to use infrastructure to narrow the roadways, as well as create different kinds of infrastructure that diverts cars and slows them down, such as the roundabout to the right. This makes the corridor feel much safer for bicyclists. And then we have on the right side, we have more simple types of improvements, such as your traditional striped bike lanes here in the upper right corner, as well as buffered bicycle lanes. And this picture here is a picture of Zuni Street, which is a recent project that we did with Denver in Northwest Englewood. And then there's a lot of different, quite a variety of costs involved with these different projects. Just to let you know, striped bicycle lanes are the cheapest thing for us to do. For planning costs, these costs are per mile costs. Planning costs for striped bike lanes are $3,500 per mile, with a design cost of $5,000 per mile and a construction cost of $41,500 per mile, with a total cost of $50,000. Buffered bicycle lanes are a bit more at $75,000 per mile. And then when you get into these neighborhood bikeways, this is a lot more money. Can be up to about $350,000 per mile. And then when you get to shared use paths, which are dedicated by off-street bicycle trails, those are the big kahunas, and those are over 1 million per mile, linear mile. And that kind of tells you why the Little Dry Creek Trail has been kind of an issue for a long time, because it would be a very expensive project. Okay, so after they had assessed all these different routes through the city of Englewood, they assigned them a prioritization score based on those criteria, and they also did cost level analysis for them and put that all together in a chart here. And some of our top priority streets that we've looked at, since we have done some east-west streets such as Oxford and Dartmouth, we're really needing to make a better system is to look at north-south routes. And so Sherman Street and Fox Street, Laddie Street were our highest scoring projects for on-street bicycle routes. And then we also had wayfinding signage routes. Our top wayfinding route signage projects included signing Big Dry Creek, as well as the Englewood Parkway and Old Hampton Avenue, and as well as signage around Englewood Station that would direct people to the Mary Carter Greenway. Once again, these are our top priorities, top scoring projects for the Walk-and-Wheel capital budget. They include Sherman Street, Laddie Fox Street, Floyd Avenue to the east, which would be from Broadway to University, as well as our 3 wayfinding projects. And our adoption schedule, we are expecting to have a Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing set for February 23rd. The City Council public hearing is expected to take place on March 21st. And the City Council is expected to adopt the Walk-and-Wheel update with a resolution on April 4th, 2022. And this is my contact information if you have any additional questions or thoughts about the Walk-and-Wheel update. My number is 303-783-68. Actually, that's not right. It should be 6820. That's my fax number. Sorry about that. And my email is jvoboril, J V as in Victor, OBORIL @englewoodco.gov. And one other thing of interest that I was asked to provide was we've heard that there's a lot of interest from the chamber in Code Next, which is a rewrite of our development code here in Englewood. We have a Code Next community introductory meeting coming up here on Thursday, February 17th from 6 o'clock to 8 p.m. It will be at